Hey my lovelies, welcome back to another episode of the Euro Cooking Canuck. Once again, thank you so kindly for spending a part of your day with me. Guys, on today's segment of Memories of Macedonia, we're going to be making mantii. Mantii is a very unique Macedonian recipe. Think of it kind of like savory little parcels with quite a unique topping. Guys, without further ado, let's get in the kitchen and make Macedonian mantii. Aide. Hey guys, welcome to the kitchen stovetop. As usual, all of the amounts I'm using today will be below in the description bar. Just click show more. In my pan here, I have a bit of oil heating up, to which I'm going to go and add one diced onion, and we're making the filling for our mantii right now. It's not complicated, guys. It's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to lightly saute my onions. I'm going to add a little bit of salt to them. A little bit of black pepper. And once you start smelling the onions, they smell great. Then you're almost ready to add in your minced meat. Now what I'm using, guys, is a combination of minced pork and beef. If you want to keep it all beef, by all means, you can do that. I find the pork adds a lot of flavor, and we use it a lot in Macedonian cooking with a lot of our dishes. Now we just don't want the onions raw, so we're cooking them down a bit, and I'm going to go ahead at this point. I'm going to add my mince. So as I said, it's part beef, part pork, equal amounts. Nice and fresh from the butchers. They grind it there. And sometimes a little bit of a tip for you guys. If you know that your butcher grinds their meat and then packages it and freezes it, ask them if it's cheaper to buy it that way. It's just as good. It's freshly ground. And I had the fresh stuff, and the butcher told me it's our meat that we grind and package, and we freeze them into the containers. So I thought, well, if I can save a few euro, why not? So I'm going to continue browning my meat, but first I want to add some seasoning to it. Again, with some sea salt or pink Himalayan. Just don't use iodized, guys. Some freshly ground pepper. Oh, sorry about that, I moved you guys. Some paprika. And a little bit of Vegeta or mixed spice. So I'm going to mix all this up together. Guys, I'm going to brown this off, and when that's done, I'll bring you back. Alright guys, at this point, your meat is cooked. So you can taste it for seasoning, and I did, and all I want to add is just perhaps a little bit more pepper. It's all to taste, guys. Right, now what we're going to do is I washed my bowl out that I had the raw meat in. I'm going to use it to keep this meat in once it's cooked. What I'm going to do is add about a cup of water. And what I'm going to do now is let this simmer on low until the water is absorbed by the meat and everything is really nice and tender. And then I'll bring you back. Hey my friends, welcome back. So what I have here is our reserved beef and pork mixture, which is nice and moist. I'm just keeping it covered for now until we need it. In this big bowl here, I have our flour. Just using double O flour, but you can use plain flour, whichever you guys like. And again, guys, all the amounts I'm using will be below. I'm just making a bit of a well. Hope you can see what I'm doing. And to that, I'm going to add some salt. We want about a tablespoon for this amount of salt, flour. Looks like a lot because my grinder is very fine. Okay, that's good. All right, I'm going to give this a mix. What I'm going to do now is going to go ahead and add some water. And for this amount, I have a cup and a half. With the water, guys, I'm going to go a bit at a time because it really depends on your weather, your flour, your altitude. So I'm going to incorporate the water. And I'm also going to be adding a bit of vegetable oil. I'm going to eyeball this, guys, but I'll put the amount below. All right. Going to give this a mix. We're looking for a soft dough, guys, and we don't want it to be sticky at all. So I'm going to obviously add the rest of my water. And I'm going to bring this together using my spoon first until everything gets together. If I need more water, I shall add water as I go. And I'll bring you back when this all comes together. All right, guys, what I've achieved is what we call a shaggy dough. As you can see, it's shaggy. And I can't really use my spoon anymore, so I'm going to switch to my hands. And it's going to be sticky at first, obviously. And I'm going to try and pull all the dough and the flour that's on the bottom together. I have water standing by, shall I need it? And you just want to bring all the flour together. I'm going to need a bit more water. Little at a time. Like I said, guys, it all really depends on your flour, your weather. It's coming together now. So I'm going to continue working on this, and I'll show you the texture when it's all pulled together. As you can see, it's starting to come together. I just need to work on this more. If I need to add a bit of water, teaspoon, tablespoon at a time, I shall. I want all the flour off the bottom of the bowl. All right, guys, I've worked my dough in the bowl. As you can see, it's getting nice, soft, supple, and it's cleared all of the flour off my bowl. So, at this point, I want to put a bit of flour down on my board. Get rid of my bowl. And I'm going to knead this flour now, or this dough rather. And I'm going to knead this for another 5 minutes to make sure all the moisture is out of our dough and it can be nice and stretchy. When I've achieved that, I'll bring you back. Alright guys, my dough is really nice and soft, supple, it bounces back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it back in my bowl and I'm going to cover it with some cling film. I'm just going to let it rest just for a bit while I prepare the next step. You want the gluten to relax. So I'm going to cover this with cling film once I figure out how to struggle with it, and I'll bring you back and show you what I do next. Hey guys, in this little saucepan, I have some butter melting or margarine. I'm using margarine. I'm using the stuff that tastes like butter. And this is pretty much melted. I'm going to turn off my heat. And to my melted margarine or butter, I'm going to add equal amount oil. Give this a mix, and I'm going to set it aside until needed. Alright, I've taken my dough out of the bowl that was covered in plastic wrap. Just going to give it a little bit of flour on my board as well. It's really soft, guys. Really beautiful. I'm going to give it one more little knead, and what I'm going to do is make this into an equal-sized log with the straight edges as I can. Okay. And I'm going to cut this in two because I'm going to work in 2 batches. If you have a huge work surface, you can do it all in one, but I suggest doing it in 2 batches, okay? Now with the other batch I'm not going to use right now, I'm going to wrap back up. And keep this aside. Right, so now I have the 1 batch. Again, I'm going to try and make this as even as I can. Okay. You can roll this. Make it easier on you. So now you have 1 batch. I want this in 8 parts, so I'm going to cut in the middle, and then 3 parts here, or 3 cuts rather here, so there, there, and there. That gives you 4, again there, there, and there. Okay. And if they're not even, guys, you can take away from one, add to the other, up to you. Basically, we're looking for 8 portions, okay? And with each portion, just simply form into a ball by stretching and pulling. The dough is very soft, guys, so you shouldn't have no problem. Again, stretch, pull. You can roll it like so, and continue with all of the balls of dough until they're all done, and I'll bring you back then. Okay guys, so now you have your 8 balls that are pretty equal in size. Go ahead and flour lightly your board. And your rolling pin. And we're going to roll each one out into a disc. You want about 8 inches, anywhere between 6 to 8 inches of a disc. Like so. Once you've achieved that, put that aside. Put a little flour down on your board so they don't stick. Just a bit. And continue with the rest. Alright guys, I'm going to show you the last one more time. In case you were sleeping. Just pat it a bit in the flour. Place on your board. Use your hands to flatten it out, get it going. And then roll. And then just pat it around, and we're done. So I'll show you what I do with all of these discs next. Alright, so I have my first disc out here in my butter and oil mixture here. I'm going to generously spread some oil and butter mixture on top of my disc. Then I'm going to place a second disc on, stretching as you go to make sure that they fit. And again, with the butter and oil mixture, again, I'm going to repeat with the next one. Give it a bit of a stretch. Don't be shy. Place that on top of this one. And again, butter and oil. And you're going to continue this all the way until you reach the last disc in which you will not place any butter and oil on top of. Show you one more. It's very pliable. Give it a stretch. Stretch its shape on top. Butter and oil. So you get the idea, guys. 8 layers of this, 7 of which will be buttered and oiled, and the last layer you're going to leave plain. And I'll bring you back then. Okay guys, all of my layers are stacked upon each other with butter and oil in between each. Why are we doing this? Because we want the pastry to be flaky. So what I'm going to do now, a little bit of flour on the bottom. And we're going to start rolling these. Now, if you're really good at pastry, you can do this all with your hands, and that way you'll keep air pockets in there, and you will not, they'll be nice and even more flaky. But you can start off with a rolling pin. And we're going to want this very, very thin. If your bottom ones are short, stretch them. It's very forgiving. And you can use your hands to stretch the dough. Go round. Let gravity do its job and pull it down for you. And you're going to continue rolling until it gets thinner and thinner and thinner. As you can see, it's getting easier for me to roll. So I'm going to bring you back, flip this over. I'll bring you back when I've achieved the thickness that we want for this dough. It should encompass my entire countertop here, and I'll bring you back. Once you've rolled out as much as you can start using your hands and stretching the dough. Don't worry if it tears on you. It's quite pliable. Just keep going around and around the dough. Use your rolling pin if you need to, and keep continuing till it's quite thin. Hey guys, I've stretched my dough as far as I can, and I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, guys. I'm gonna cut my dough into some squares here, some stripes. Again, they don't have to be perfect, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Smaller ones can be stretched out. Don't worry about it. They don't have to be perfect. So now that we have all of our squares here, it's time to fill with our meat mixture. I'm going to place it there for now. Oh, you can't see. You're going to put about a tablespoon in each one. So I'll continue with this, and when all the squares are filled, I'll bring you back. All right, gang, you can see that all of my squares have meat filling in them. I actually made less squares. I covered up the marks I made in the first place because I thought they were too small and some were too big. And that's the great thing about this dough, it's really forgiving. Just use your finger, seal it up, recut it. So what we're going to do is we're going to make these into little parcels. Really easy to do. If you have a corner, just stretch it. You're going to put one corner in, the other corner on top, this corner, and so on. Guys, really, really easy. Really simple and easy. All right. Again, I'll show you. Corner in. If you have too much meat, take some out. Other corner in. Corner in. And corner in. And you can pinch to seal. Really simple, guys. You can also put these into little balls. Some people do. Corner in. It's better with two hands, but I don't want to block your view. Corner in, corner in, corner in, and pinch and seal. And you have another little bundle here. All right, I think you guys get the gist of it. It's basically wrapping this up into a little parcel by pulling the corners, okay? I'll try and show you one that's closer to you perhaps, but you guys get it. Corner in, wrap, and wrap. All right? So, in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grease my tepsia here. There's a bit of flour in there, so I'll shake that out. And I'll grease my tepsia, and I'll start placing them in. All right, guys. Be right back. Hey, gang. I have all of my Mantii in my tepsia. I decided to do 2 batches as opposed to one really big one. That's up to you. I'm one person, guys. That's the reason. And I just don't want to have a ton of these. So I made it into a smaller tepsia. You can too. These freeze really well too. So guys, what I'm doing is placing the last little bit of butter and oil on here, on my Mantii. These are going to go in the oven, 200°C. Keep an eye on them. Everything is cooked. We just want the dough to get golden brown. And I'll bring you back and show you how we finish them off. Hey, my friends. Our Mantii is fresh out of the oven. It's still quite hot. Can you hear that? It's crispy and flaky and lush. So while they're still hot, I'm just gonna, now some people do a splash of water on top. I'm gonna just brush them with just a little bit of the butter and oil, just to give them a bit of a shine. And I'm gonna set these aside to cool while we make the unique topping. All right, guys, once the Mantii is done, we do have a topping for it. And what this is kisla mleko, which is basically translates to sour milk. Don't get turned off. It's basically like a thick yogurt. So I'm going to plop some in my bowl here. Should be enough. I'm going to mix it till it's smooth. And then what I got are some whole garlic cloves, which I'm going to grate in. It's up to you how garlicky you want it, guys. But don't forget, when you grate garlic, it's quite strong. But I like garlic. Make sure the people who you're eating with like it too, because you're going to be smelling it. All right. My hands are clean, guys. And I'm going to mix this in. And I'm going to let the Mantii cool before we place this on top. Then we'll serve it up. Okay guys, the Mantii has cooled down, not completely cool. You still want it warm. You don't want it, you know, cold or room temperature. And now you're going to place your queso de meleco on top. And it goes really well because it's kind of like a bouillon, and we eat a lot of our flaky pastry with yogurt or a yogurt drink. So go ahead and place it on there. I'm going to use the same brush that I used with the butter. And we'll brush that on. Nice layer. Lovely jubbly. So you can see the Mantii, but you also have that lovely yogurt and garlic infused topping on top. And there you have it, guys. Mantii. Guys, it looks like a lot of work, but really it's not. It's no different than rolling out dough, really, honestly, or making a pie. I really encourage you to try this. Guys, please follow me on social media, like this video. Please subscribe if you haven't. Love to have you join me. Share my video. Let your friends know about this channel. Until we meet again, be good to yourself and to each other. And especially right now, guys, please, please be safe. Fala novo. Thank you very much. Ajde prijetno. Ajde. Ciao.